Alright guys, end of the line. End of the line. And, mercifully the season ended, a very rough season for us Seahawks fans, but it comes with the territory of being a sports fan. When you decide to commit yourself to a team, you stick with that team, and at some point there are definitely going to be lows like this, and it could be a lot lower, honestly. Last game of the season, Seahawks lose 34-21 to the Arizona Cardinals. I said before this game that I expected us to win this game, so, I'm not gonna just... To some extent, I understand that we're not a good team this year. It's gonna happen. But I am disappointed that we could not win this game. However, I will say that I didn't expect the Arizona Cardinals to come out wanting to win this game. I mean, if you look at, they had locked up everything that they could lock up. They were locked into the 4 seed. So I kind of expected them to come out with backups or not really go all out to win and be very vanilla. And as it turned out, Arizona went, we got no momentum right now. We need to win a game. So they went out there and gave it their all. Warner stayed in for most of the game. Edgerrin James actually got a ton of carries, and Edgerrin James played really well. So it's possible that this whole year Arizona has been just keeping Edgerrin James fresh so he's ready for the playoffs, instead of just permanently benching him like a lot of us thought. And if that's what they were doing, and if it works, hey, they're geniuses. I don't know. We'll see next week. We no way to know yet. Again, we couldn't stop the Cardinals' offense consistently. Actually, during the game, I was making a bunch of short videos and putting them together, and I was gonna, as I was watching football throughout the day, I was putting little videos together, but the video ended up being too long for YouTube. I don't feel like breaking it up, and there's nothing special on them anyway, so no. I felt like there were parts of the game where we were playing really well. There were parts of the game where we were passing the ball well, we were running the ball well, we were blocking, we were playing good defense, we were getting pressure, we even forced a couple turnovers, I know. But there were also periods of time where we couldn't do anything right, particularly near the end of the game. So, just could not stay consistent, could not stick with it. We ended up turning it over 3 times. Wallace had a couple picks, and somebody fumbled, I can't remember who. At the end of the day, you look at the rushing stats, and we couldn't run the ball. There were times when we could, but on a whole, we couldn't run the ball. Defensively, obviously, we couldn't stop Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner had a great game. His 1 interception was right at the half, so that's kind of meaningless. Excuse me. Could not stop Edgerrin James. Larry Fitzgerald destroyed us. But Larry Fitzgerald is a great player. He would destroy most secondaries in the league. There's no shame in getting destroyed by Larry Fitzgerald. He destroys pretty much everybody. Sometimes, with the catches he was making out there, he was making some ridiculous catches. There's nothing he can do. He's just better. He's just physically taller than any defensive back we have. I don't know if he's faster. He might be. It just doesn't match up. Steve Breston had a good game. Jeremy Urban had a couple big catches. Orlando Mare missed his only field goal of the day, his second miss of the year, so he had a great year. I'll definitely give him credit for that. He played great this year. I was very happy with that acquisition. Our pass rush melted down over time, pass coverage. So I felt like going into the half, I felt really good about this game, but it fell apart. We couldn't stop them. We couldn't get drives going. That being said, I'll give credit to Seneca because he stepped in for Matt couple months ago and has played extremely well. Even in this game, he turned it over a couple times, but he also played very well, hooking up with Deion Branch. Branch had a nice game. Bobby Engram. He found a lot of different receivers. So I will say that he outplayed my expectations. I don't know why we did not use John Carlson in this game. As near as I can tell, he was being left in to block a lot because our offensive line wasn't able to stop the Cardinals' defensive front seven. But I would have liked to have seen more passes thrown to Carlson. I feel like when our offense runs through Carlson in the passing game, that's our best chance of winning games. There's not much else to say. Kind of disappointing how things went, but knowing that Arizona went out there, guns blazing, trying to win this game, it's hard for me to say that I can... It's hard for me to throw this team under the bus because I know that what they're capable of, their ceiling is low. It sucks. I hate it. I really do. But I acknowledge it and realize that this is just the way it is. So, one thing that really pissed me off in this game, though, as it went along, was not just the fact that we fell behind, obviously, the penalties. Arizona actually had a lot of penalties on them, too. They played really undisciplined football. They had 10 penalties, but we had 11. And if there's one thing Mike Holmgren brought to this team, and he brought a lot of things, he brought a lot of great things to this team. But if he brought one really good thing, it was discipline when it came to penalties. We were always among the bottom of the league in penalties. With I think New England and Indianapolis, I think. So for us, in Mike Holmgren's final game, who I will miss, who did a lot of great things for this franchise, who dug us out of a big hole that was dug during the 90s, took us to a Super Bowl, took us to the playoffs 5 years in a row, took us to 4 playoff wins, and everything else, it was not committing penalties. Even this year, as bad as we were great with penalties. We committed very few. So I was very disappointed that we could not keep up that standard in Mike Holmgren's last game. The penalties really killed us in this game. Holdings, we had holding penalties, we had face masks, we had false starts and everything. So, other than that, it is what it is. Looking back on the year as a whole, disheartening and disappointing. I understand why it happened because, it's like the Titanic. I remember, the Titanic, when they built the Titanic, they had 8 gigantic compartments in the bottom of the boat. And if one of them or 2 of them flooded, the boat would be okay. But if 3 or more flooded, the boat was fucked, pretty much. It would sink, and that's what ended up happening. But like with the Seahawks, if we lost Matt Hasselbeck for an extended period of time, we'd be okay. If we lost Walter Jones for an extended period of time, or really anybody, a bunch of people on the offensive line, we would be okay. If we lost all of our top receivers for an extended period of time, we'd be okay. But we lost all of them. Matt missed most of the season. The offensive line by the end of the season was all backups. We had nothing but backups by the end of the season. We lost all of our receivers, and they only just got back, and some of them never got back. So it's like we lost everything. And we also lost, some linebackers. We lost Patrick Kearney, who's probably our second best defensive player. So it's hard for me to... I understand why things went the way they did, and I don't like it, but it's defensible, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't like to use injuries as an excuse or anything, but what happened, and we just lost too many people at once at the same time. We can overcome losing a couple of good players. We can stay alive. We did that last year. We did that the year before. We did that the year before. But this year we just lost everybody at once. What are you going to do? Next year I'm looking forward to already, obviously. We have the number 4 pick in the draft. Right now, I want Michael Crabtree. But I will say, you do not build a championship team. You don't win Super Bowls by building around a wide receiver. So I'm a little wary about taking a wide receiver with a number 4 overall pick. But if Crabtree is there, I think that's a pick I could dig. I think that would be the right pick for us. So I'll talk more about the draft when the time He's right.